You're fired. Yeah, it was probably my first job. It was, what was it, mid 2000s, I think it was, when The Apprentice first came out. Money, 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 money. And one of the challenges of running a growing business is sometimes you've got to make difficult calls. Start with yellow card and red card conversations really early on. So, to any of you here who are managing people who are constantly finding yourself having to make difficult decisions, great teams are built by great people, man. Hello, family. one of my favorite shows ever on TV was The Apprentice. You remember Trump's The Apprentice? You're fired. I must have been, how old was I? I think I was like probably first job, maybe. Yeah, it was probably my first job. It was, what was it, mid 2000s, I think it was, when The Apprentice first came out. Money, 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 money. Money. Dudum, 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 ba-dum. Yeah, those were the days. Those are the days. And Donald Trump would walk in there, and he had, remember, in that boardroom of his, right? Which so many of us were disappointed when we learned that it wasn't an actual boardroom; it was a studio that they had created that mirrored, I think, one of his boardrooms or something like this. And the first season was won by Bill, and the guy who came second to Bill was a black guy called Kwame, who later wrote a book called Black Faces and White Spaces. I read the book, really, really good book, actually. Very good. Was it Kwame? No, it was the other guy. Sorry, it was the other guy who wrote Black Faces and White Spaces. The first black guy who won The Apprentice. I forget his name now, but Kwame came second to Bill. Anyway, listen, I'm boring you with the details. Yesterday, as you guys know, I've got this like mentorship platform, and on our mentorship platform, one of the guys asked me a question about how to fire people. Right? He's a first-time entrepreneur, business is growing, and one of the challenges of running a growing business is sometimes you've got to make difficult calls. And the difficult call he has to make, as he puts it, is he needs to fire people. So he was saying, Vusi, like, I don't know how to fire people, how do I fire people? And then he said, and I don't like the emotions and the anxiety and the angst, and I don't like confrontation, and so what do I do? So I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about what I've learned over the years is the most effective way to part ways with people, right? So first, to say the following, that if you're going to manage people, you're going to have to get really, really good at having high conflict conversations. In fact, you're going to have to seek them out, because your ability to be effective as a leader is directly proportional to your ability to influence people to act even at a time or a space when they don't feel like acting. And that means you're going to have to get really good at having high conflict conversations. So I said to him, the mistake most people make when you are having a conflict conversation, or as the beautiful book coined it, a courageous conversations. There's a beautiful book called Courageous Conversations. I can't recommend it enough. I read it about probably 10 years ago, and it fundamentally shifted how I think about having conflict riddled discussions, like heated discussions, whereas the book calls them courageous conversations. I said to him, one of the things you're going to have to learn is that if you attack the person, then you're going to have a personal attack conversation. So the way not to do it is to say to the person, you're fired because you're useless and you don't know how to do your job and you're incompetent, and this is not the way to do it. This is not the way to do it. I said to him, there are three things over the years that I've learned. Three things. The first is this. Long before you take the decision to part ways with someone, reduce your conversation to outcomes and deliverables. So when you talk to them, communicate with them what it is that is the outcome of what you expect and the deliverables that they must meet. So if you, for instance, own a fleet of cars and you've got drivers who drive for you under Uber, say, the courageous conversations with those drivers might look something like this. The outcome that I expect is you're going to get a good rating on Uber. I want you to maintain a 4.5 rating on Uber. And in addition to this, I want the car to be in a specific state. I want it clean, I want it polished, I want it to smell good. Every morning when you pick it up, the car will be in good condition. Every evening when you drop it off, the car better be in good condition. That's the first thing you might say. So that might be the outcome. The deliverable might be, oh, and by the way, I'm expecting you to make 1,000 Rand a day. I'm expecting you to make $100 a day, whatever the case might be. So that's how you have the courageous conversation. First, focus on outcome and deliverable, not on personality. Second, start with yellow card and red card conversations really early on. I learned this from one of my teachers when I was studying. I was in business school, and we had this incredible teacher teaching us people management, a lady called Maggie was her name. And she said, you need to establish what are yellow cards and red cards. And we all sitting in the class were like, what the hell's that? And here's what she said. There are certain things people are allowed to do. Or no, let me say it differently. There are certain things people are not allowed to do, but if they do them, it's a cause for correction. Then there are certain things that if people do them, they're out immediately. The former is yellow cards, the latter is the red cards. So a yellow card conversation with your salespeople, for instance, those of you who manage a team of salespeople, a yellow card conversation might be something like, you need to make 100 cold calls every week. If you don't make 100 cold calls every week and log them on the CRM, we're going to have a performance discussion. Yellow card. Do you get it? If you don't get it, forget about it. Red card conversation. Every client that you onboard has to sign this contract. And not only sign this contract, but they've got to sign the terms of this contract. If you onboard a client without them signing the contract or signing the terms of the contract, sending information to finance and we bill them, and we find out that you did not follow the process, you're out. Red card, right? So the first thing is, to recap, you focus on outcome and deliverables. The second thing, have yellow card, red card, clarity conversations. What are the things that if you were not able to do will be cause for correction? And what are the things that if you dare to do, you're immediately out? Immediately out, right? You are a receptionist at a doctor's office. Open the office on time, because doctors deals with ill patients. You don't want an ill patient sitting outside in parking waiting. Do you get it? You're a teacher at a primary school, right? Be at school on time. We can't have kids waiting on you, right? Red card, yellow card conversations. And then the third thing you do, and this is fundamental, is you need to have constant feedback loops with your people. I find that too many people don't have constant feedback loops. I certainly find that people who are not great at managing people don't have constant feedback loops. And you will definitely struggle to have conversations that require courageous conversations unless you're in constant feedback loops. So what are constant feedback loops? What needs to be done? How far are you with doing it? Reassure people when they're doing things well and then tell them when they could do things better. You need to have constant feedback loops with your people because those constant feedback loops, at the very least, create a barometer of expectation. If we're constantly in a feedback loop and every week you're telling me an area of improvement that I need to improve on and I'm not working on it, then I begin to understand for myself that I'm probably not performing at this job. If we're in a constant feedback loop, and at the end of every week, you're telling me what needs to be done, what hasn't been done, what's outstanding, and you're giving me feedback, it helps me understand where I am. So by the time you and I are having a conversation about yours and my future working together, you know, and I know, where both of us stand. So to any of you here who are managing people who are constantly finding yourself having to make difficult decisions, Great teams are built by great people, man. There's no such thing as a great, let me put it to you this way. Great organizations, whether they are businesses, government organizations, NPOs, NGOs, public benefit organizations, charity, great organizations have one thing in common. All great organizations are run by great teams. And all great teams have one thing in common. They are led by great leaders. And all great leaders have one thing in common, which is that they are very good at setting expectations for their people and keeping their people accountable to those conversations. So learn to set expectations, learn to have courageous conversations, set a benchmark for your people of what you want them to achieve, and most importantly, hold your people to a high standard. There are too many of us, I think, who just have a mediocre standard of what's achievable. And you know, if you set the bar at mediocrity and you get simple, you're going to be happy. Set it high. Your people are capable of much more than even they know. So set the bar high for them and then push them towards achieving that bar. All right, that's our video for the week. I'll see you soon, friends. Sayonara.